Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Joining me for this discuss via Zoom is Ehichoya Ikide. He's an OAP. We're so glad to have you join us.
Glad to be here. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's go right into the discuss. After 18 months, a family of Mr. Ogochukwu Onyegigo has finally reunited with their child and his grandmother, who were allegedly held in a Port Harcourt hospital for 13 months over unpaid medical bills totaling 4.6 million naira. The case gained public attention after the hospital refused to release the pair following the mother's death during a preterm delivery. The Rivers State government later intervened through the Ministry of Health. Commissioner for Health, Dr. Daisy Orie, said the hospital denied any detention, explaining that the baby had been under medical care in its neonatal intensive care unit. The matter was later referred to the police and a juvenile courts. After weeks of dialogue and legal review, the hospital released the baby named Miracle and his grandmother on Wednesday. The family confirmed their return home after reaching a payment agreement with the hospital. A humanitarian who advocated for the family's relief, Tari Bozimo, commended the state government and the hospital for resolving the matter peacefully. Mr. Onyegigo expressed gratitude to the public and government for their support while appealing for help to clear the remaining 2.7 million naira hospital debt. This report did break a few weeks ago. It was a viral report where a family was held in the hospital after the mother of a baby went into preterm labor and had this baby, and she passed away after having the baby. And then the family wasn't let to take the baby out because for the first 3 months, this baby was incubated, and catered for by the hospital. But when it was time to leave, the family was told they have a hospital bill of 6.5 million to pay. The husband said, okay, I'm going to do a deposit real quick of 2.5 so my family can come out, then we can create a payment plan, which was totally refused by the said hospital. And the grandmother and the newborn baby were detained in that hospital for about 11 months, even though right now the River State government has intervened. But what are your thoughts on this report, and what is the state and future of our healthcare system?
Okay, I think I can hear you now. I think I lost you there for a bit.
I'm not hearing from here. Me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Sam, why is this my speaker?
There should have been health insurance to cover at least a large portion of the cost. But in any case, the withholding both the child and the grandma for 13 months, 10 months, okay, they said they were keeping the child for 3 months in the incubator, but that extra 10 months was completely uncalled for, in my opinion. I mean, you can see both sides of the argument. Yes, they also felt they had to recover the cost. And on the man's end, if you put yourself in the shoe, you can understand the frustration. You lost your wife, you're not even allowed to mourn because you have to take care of your child. And now, instead of taking care of your child, you have to bother about either your mom or your wife's mom being held by the hospital until you clear some ease. So it's a large phenomenon, and just goes to show the state of Nigeria and Nigerians.
Right. Now, the River State government has, come through to kind of bridge the gap and intervene in this particular situation. For many years, and most reports we get to hear, you'd say, okay, this family, they were unable to make a deposit of, this amount asked by the hospital, so a patient was refused. Now, how do you see the grand scale of things as regards hospital wanting to treat patients without a form of deposit when you look at this report?
Well, like I said, you can kind of understand on both sides why what has happened. With the hospital, perhaps the patient, the man felt it was supposed to be a simple procedure. From what I understand, the man goes in, she gives birth, it stays maybe a couple of days, and then she's gone. But everything that could have gone on was mature. So maybe was in the extra care, perhaps forget the beginning anticipated, the mother was alive, so that added a different level of complications. So everything that could have gone on with the case, and I feel that was what in effect added to the level and the cost which they got to.
So you still think in subsequent cases, because this can be an isolated case as it were. In subsequent cases, right, and when this happens, where is the place, when you look at it, of leniency as regards someone just lost his wife, a newborn baby just lost her child, a grandmother just lost her child, right? Where is the place of leniency in medical practice, by this report?
The place of leniency. The fact that it's a bit understood, everybody has their own perspective in this, and all sides are understandable. I thought it was a bit inhumane because I cannot imagine how much stress that man has gone through losing his wife, and then his child is being held, and the grandchild that has also been held by this same hospital. So I felt the hospital could have, because the man stated that he wanted them to allow my baby and the grandma go. I will be paying you guys. To give me a people that works. They said from earlier reports, they said that they were going to hold him until the payment was cleared. It was only because this story went viral and the government got involved. A lot of people from it that the hospital eventually decided to allow them go home, which there was no display of leniency, there was no display of compassion towards the predicament of that man. So I feel there are certain cases where this is one of them, where you should know when to be lenient, you should know when not to press too hard, because the man had already lost his wife.
Right.
Now, he has not gotten to see his child at home, he has to come every day to visit his child in a hospital. The transportation, if you want to factor in transportation costs, probably from work to his home to the hospital and back and everything, the transportation costs, if you want to pay transportation costs, you could have gone with at least some part of the people bills.
Right.
All that moving around to see his
Right. Now, for other, this got me thinking about other civilized nations. I did stumble on a report a few months ago where a lady was talking about, a Nigerian that had, at the time relocated, was talking about how she was treated when she got to her then country of, residence, how she didn't get to spend a dime because she didn't even have the said amount, the said money. But the hospital, the government did take her in, factored in her treatment, all of the things her baby was going to need. She did not pay for even the clothes her baby got to wear. Because Nigeria is still a developing nation, and in real time, we're trying to factor in several things are coming into play as regards how to make us, be better, how to be more developed as a people. Do you think that we should insist more on training and everybody getting, the same way we are insisting on everybody getting to pay tax in the coming year from January 1st, do you think we should also factor in insurance policies into this? So for when you cannot handle these responsibilities, if it's a mandatory requirement, then you get your insurance firm to handle it for you. Do you think that should be a mandatory requirement for families at this time?
I think insurance is something that's critical. Health insurance specifically is something that's critical. Now, back to the instance you gave of the lady that went abroad and had a child. That is particularly why Nigerians have an issue with this reform, this new tax laws that are taking effect from January of 2026. Because over you pay and you reap the reward, you have constant light, you have access to cheaper healthcare and better healthcare. But when we come to Nigeria, we want to apply taxation laws as applied over there without the applications that is given over there. Over you're paying your taxes, you're seeing the benefits, getting okay. You know that your healthcare is taken care of to a large extent. Your electricity distribution and provision is well maintained. But then when it comes to Nigeria and we're preaching tax laws and paying your taxes and new taxes and additional taxes on various things, but the citizens are not reaping the rewards. We're suffering from a faulty system, but the system continues to leak. The system shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. So genuinely, I feel if we want to, that's why particularly that's the problem with the tax laws.
Okay.
Where does it state, okay, this is what we're going to do to focus on healthcare, this is what we are paying for, show people what their money is going to. Let them see how this is what we got, this is what was spent on healthcare, this is what was spent on education, this was spent on so many other issues affecting the country. I mean, you see people will be eager to pay taxes because they can feel the rewards. They know they are seeing the reward, benefiting from the rewards of their taxes.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. We head to Lagos State, where Police Command has recently arrested a released ex-convict and 2 suspected pickpockets for various offenses across the state. Police spokesperson SP Abimbola Adebisi said the suspects were apprehended by operatives of the Rapid Response Squad in separate operations. The 25-year-old ex-convict was arrested at Oshodi Market just 5 days after leaving the Kirikiri Correctional Center. He was found with 80,000 naira and an Infinix Note 40 Pro phone linked to a burglary in Okbebi, where 200,000 naira was stolen from a sleeping trader. Police also recovered clothes and shoes purchased with the stolen money. In another operation, 2 suspects aged 21 and 27 were caught attempting to steal phones from commuters during rush hours in crowded areas. The stolen items were recovered and returned to their owners. All 3 suspects are in custody at the RRS headquarters and will be charged to court after investigations. Commissioner of Police Olundare Jimo praised the operatives for their vigilance and reaffirmed the command's commitment to proactive, intelligence-driven policing to ensure public safety. You know, I want to gather your thoughts on this report, but there are so many angles. You know, this report appeals to me to question about. But first, let's get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this report in itself?
Well, prison is supposed to be a place for reform. It's supposed to be a place where individuals go and they learn that, okay, crime does not pay, and when they step out, they should be productive members of society. But the fact that this person barely, how much time out of prison has already gone back to committing the same crimes that landed them in prison, and shows that there is indeed a fundamental flaw in the system that needs to be checked.
Of the time, you would expect that when people, are sent to, we moved from calling it a prison to calling it a correctional center. All right. When people go through correctional centers, you expect that they will come out a lot more refined, a lot more reformed, because, of course, they have moved past understanding the intensity of their crimes and have moved to a point where they have grown and become, to become better citizens. But when reports like this break, what comes to mind? Do you think the prisons actually act as correctional centers as they've been changed to be, or is still the same word as what a prison is?
I think the system is not exactly doing what it was supposed to, which is to reform. It goes to the correctional name, correctional facility or correctional center. It's supposed to correct those negative behaviors while finding a way to reinforce positive, behaviors. And it just goes to show that we're not something wrong fundamentally. Because barely a week plus or weeks out of prison, he's already back on the street and committing. And this is not an isolated incident. He's not a one-off. There are so many cases of people who leave prison and almost immediately they are back committing, or they're back doing whatever it was that landed them in prison.
Why do you think that is?
Their time in prison for?
Why do you think that is? Why do you think when they come out, they just go back to this crime that, for some of them, the crimes that even took them into prison for years? Why do you think that is?
I'm not to defend anyone, but there are some people that this is fundamentally this is all they know. This is how they know how to essentially, let me say, make it. It's their way of surviving ever since ever. So when they're in prison, if there's nothing to feel in that boat, nothing to correct the ideology they have, by the time they come out, they go straight back to it. Because there was nothing to fill in that void, there was nothing to correct that learned behavior, that practiced behavior. So now it's seen as, a part of them. So automatically, they know no way else. Once they come out, it's back to that. Because that's all they know. So I don't know about how Nigerian prisons function in terms of vocational skills and things of that nature, but I feel there are a lot of prisons, particularly in the US, where while you're in prison, you get access to various training programs, you get access to various business creation tips and classes. So I feel if we don't already do that, that would be a great way to fill the void, to change the narrative. Now, this is not me defending anybody, obviously, but it just goes to show that there is something fundamentally wrong with the system. If the way we are doing it does not work, let's go back to calling it a prison. This is not job. This is not correctional facility behavior. This is not what a correctional facility should imbibe in people or should cause in people. That when immediately are released, you go right back into the same crimes that landed you in that position in the first place. So it means the prison is not doing its job of reform. It's not even doing its job of dissuading people from committing such acts.
What strategies, and methodologies would you propose to fix the systemic, failure structure that you have just mentioned? What strategies do you think can be put in place? You did mention one of it, which you said, learning the skills in the prison, maybe, doing some form of training and equipping these prisoners, because, for some of them, they've been in prison for 10 years. And if you're a resident in the city we are currently resident in, and you leave town for 10 years, say you move to a different country, when you come back, you would have realized that we have more flyovers than we had when you left town, right? Now, for these prisoners, haven't been in that area, haven't been in prison for that long, certain levels of development have come. AI wasn't there in the last 10 years. We have AI all over the place now. Big tech, as much as it is, wasn't there as it is now. You have several things. The road networks have changed. If you've been, 10 years ago, we didn't have as much banditry and kidnapping as we currently have, or at least kidnapping wasn't this bad. But if you look at holistically from what, the angle I'm trying to come in from, most most of these people in prison haven't experienced what life is. And now you have to put that side by side with people that are graduating from the university and currently job hunting, people that are done with school for maybe 5 years, still looking for jobs, you know, businesses that are closing up because of, you know, especially the high cost of living and all of that. When these people come out of prison and haven't trained, what systemic structures do you think should be put in place? What methodologies, as it were, can you propose for them to move, you know, from people that have been incarcerated to free living citizens?
That's a really fair point, because things change. Things that used to function, or the way things used to work, may not necessarily, you know, work or be in effect. So even if they decide that they want to go back to a certain life or time before they are crying, it's going to be much more difficult for them, because now everything is blurry.
Right.
Now, what I would say is this: if we have systems whereby we reintroduce bandits and terrorists and former Boko Haram members into society, why can't we do the same program for prisoners? Why can't we have a similar program for prisoners where we keep them to reinforce, okay, this is what, because education is still, everything still boils down to education. They need to be educated. This is how things are now. This is what is involved. This is what is in effect. These are the type of businesses that you can grow now. These are the type of skills that you can learn that pay in the economy. Because there are things that pay them that don't pay now.
All right.
A lot of jobs are being taken over by AI. But the truth is, if you understand context and nuance and a lot of other things, AI can do your job. Even if you're a writer, even if you're whatever, all these jobs that people are saying, oh, AI will take your job. If you're a programmer, say, oh, AI can take your job. That's false. A lot of people that AI and programmer for a lot of things is corrupt in some way. You still need to have that knowledge to go and fix it. So learning to teach these people how to work with the modern technologies is something that I find would be particularly helpful. Because like I've said, if you're going to integrate terrorists in society, why do you just open the gates of prisoners to keep out there? Some of them not talked 20 plus years. They come back out, they don't understand the world around them, they don't understand the laws around them anymore, they don't understand the steps around them anymore. So they go back to what they know, which was the crime. So there should be programs that, okay, as a prisoner, maybe a 1-year mandatory program, NYC of sorts, but this one for skill acquisition and training. 1 year after you get out of jail, throughout the 1 year period, you have to hit certain classes, certain expectations, certain goals. And then after that 1 year, you get certified, okay, you have now been trained on this area, on this field. You have gained enough expertise to go on. If you want to start your business or something, you want to work for somebody, practical skills doesn't have to be, everybody can be to tech. That's one mistake we tend to make. We assume that everybody has to be into tech. Give people practical skills, hard workmanship skills, these things, and teach them how to monetize these things. Because one thing to have a skill is another thing to be able to monetize your skill.
Right. You know, you talked about all of the skills you've listed, very, very fabulous and, you know, salient points that you raised. But you would agree with me that there are many people in society currently skilled that currently do not have, you know, anything doing. For example, a plumber, right? You have a plumber probably does not have the capital to start up his own business or his own practice and is out there, you know, every day looking for one way or the other to survive. And if the market is saturated with more of these people, how do they train in prison and out of prison to stand out? Do you think the government should come up with methodologies where they get to provide these people with, you know, agencies, so to speak? The Renewed Hope housing plan is currently ongoing for people that get into, you know, skilled work. For example, they become employed by the government to work in places like the Renewed Hope housing plan and all of these other plans that the government have. Do you think that will be a more, you know, straightforward and streamlined process as opposed to getting them certifications, then bringing them out into town to compete with people that are equally talented but do not have jobs?
That's a fair one. I think that can even be integrated into the skills training, where they get, at least for the last 3, 4 months of their training, they get hands-on practical experience, because they say in a lot of cases experience is actually the best teacher. So if you give this with the knowledge, okay, this is how this is supposed to be, then you put them in initiatives working for the government where they are still supervised, they're still being looked down, their work is being evaluated, and then they perform on these government jobs or like the remote house in the channel that you were speaking about. They work on such projects and they gain better experience, gain more experience. If possible, the government can retain them to work on future projects. I don't think that would be a bad one.
Right. Thank you so much for your insight on that report. A professional boxer popularly known as Bintin has allegedly killed a local carpenter during an altercation over a burst football in the Adamo area of Ikorodu, Lagos State. Eyewitnesses said the dispute began when the carpenter known as Yellow accidentally punctured a football belonging to the boxer's son. The boy's mother reportedly informed her husband, who rushed home to confront the carpenter. The confrontation turned violent despite attempts by the community head, the Bale, to restore order. Although Yellow agreed to replace the damaged ball, Bintin allegedly followed him and punched him on the forehead, causing him to collapse. The victim was taken to the Agbowa General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Residents described the suspect as short-tempered and frequently involved in fights. After the incident, Bintin surrendered himself at the Imota police station and was taken into custody. The Bale confirmed that the deceased would be buried according to Islamic rites. Lagos police spokesperson SP Abimbola Adebisi confirmed the arrest and dismissed rumors of the suspect's release, adding that the case has been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation. What are your thoughts on this report, Ace? Ace, what are your thoughts on this report about this boxer having killed, the carpenter in the neighborhood simply because of a punctured ball?
You see, the thing is, and this is why I always tell people, when you're angry, the first and last thing to do is walk away. That is the first and last thing. That's, for me, that's the first and last thing. Walk away. Leave the scenario. You may have been in the right. Like, for example, the boxer was perhaps in the right, because how do you accidentally puncture my kid's ball? Well, now he's attacked the carpenter, and to him, all he wanted was just cause me to pain. But because of his strength and his abilities as his boxer, he's much sharper and his punches hit 10 times harder than the average person. He's been trained on that. So now what was supposed to be a corrective blow has now been a final blow. And that's why that cliche saying comes to mind. You say, with great power comes your responsibility. Now, you were upset. They damaged the ball of your kid, all well and good. But look at the trade-off now. For a ball, you took a life. That's the comparison. There's no comparison between those two. There's no point in which you say, oh, those two, even though they remotely correlate, one is infinitely above the other. You can replace a ball.
Right.
And from the story, said the carpenter agreed to even replace it.
Yes, they said from the report he was headed towards replacing the ball before he was, accosted by the boxer and he got the blow. Let's talk about flying temperament, right? Do you think that as a people we have come to the point where every day, especially, let me even point this, when on my way to work for most days, because I usually pass through this, crowded areas where you have the commuters and the transport loaders, getting passengers into their vehicle, there's usually one fight or the other going on. do you think that we have become a people that are so upset? Usually, if you ever get into, the public transport, if you're ever around the market, everybody is constantly infuriated, right? Do you think we have become more angrier than we should be as a people? Or do you think we should go back to when, disputes aren't handled by fists, but, by just clearly speaking to each other?
Okay, I don't particularly get that question.
Do you think that we should move from handling our disputes by the fist and move more into communication and handling our, misunderstandings verbally as human beings should?
Right. Okay, I'd like to believe you can hear me now.
Right, I can hear.
With regards to handling misunderstanding, misunderstandings, it's why I said personally my approach is your first and last reaction should always be walking away, because you may always start in the right. You may start at, oh yeah, well, your reaction is justified, but your reaction might, in this case, outweigh what exactly has taken place. That's why I believe dialogue, because you obviously got into heated argument and didn't go, but they had already reached a resolution. But that's because the anger was already built up. He still went ahead to move further, and that's now done something that will effectively ruin his life, and he ended the life of another person. So I believe when it comes to conflicts, first and last reaction should always be removing yourself from that situation. Handle it when you're more calm. If you had waited, till the next day, come early in the morning, you're see what happened with my kid's ball, and he had listened to the man's side of the story, and he still felt satisfied, I believe he would have been in a much calmer state of mind.
Right.
But he got back home, probably the frustration of being out and about all day, and now he's back home, and now he's already upset, and he's confronting another person. He got into a shouting match. They have resolved it, or thought they have resolved it, and then the person was going to amend whatever the problem was. But unfortunately, the heat of the anger led to this unfortunate moment.
Sadly so. Now, you have sounded the note of, walking away, but do you think conflict resolution and conflict management should go beyond us learning it as adults and proposing, or what do you think as regards this idea of conflict resolution and management being taught in schools in a way that, and I'm talking about the same way we do GST courses, probably from secondary schools, so, temperaments are calmed before it leads to a big fight. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think you got to hear all of it. Usually when I come to work in the morning, I pass by, for most of the days, where commuters get into vehicles and where the loading thing happens, you find out that one person and another person is always in a scuffle. There is always a fight. Do you think that conflict resolution should be taught earlier? So as adults, as we're growing, we're budding into better ways to handle conflict. Like you rightly said, to take a breather, walk away, and deal with it later. Do you think people should learn this earlier in life as opposed to learning that, from example, like this man has learned now?
Yes, I believe it should be something that should be taught. Emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, these are things that people should be asking. But we have this thing about looking down topics like this, where it's like, why are you trying to teach me emotional intelligence? Why are you trying to teach me how to make money? That's well and good. But still, as an adult, as a member of society,
right,
how to interact with other members of society is important. You need to learn how to interact with other members of society. So yes, conflict resolution is something that should actually actually be taught effectively in school. It's not just, we say it one time or move over it. No. Enforce the habits, let people know, because when they get to a certain age, it's already reinforced. It is much more difficult to take something out of an adult and infuse something new. And when the child is just learning things, if you teach something like that to a child, it grows up to be part of their core habits, which I'm rather fortunate the kind of upbringing I had. It was something that was included in conflict resolution. There were times when I have issues with neighbors' kids, but my mom was always mad with me. What when people think you want to go inside, fast, you want to come out. I think for me, about that, no, it's pulling my teeth, or it's, you know.
Right.
Why would I walk away when these boys are picking on me? No, I'm bigger than them. I have to show them. No, my mom understood that actions have consequences and they have ripple effects.
Right.
If perhaps at that point she had allowed me just, okay, you are bigger than them, so you need to teach them a lesson. Perhaps I would have grown up in my life and viewed that, okay, whenever there's a conflict, anybody has to be violent, has to attack the person. But because I grew up understanding that violence should not be on the table of discussion unless it's completely self-defense. But just to be upset with somebody and that will now make you, act violently on that person, you should not cross your mind at all. What will lead the scenario? So because of that upbringing, I'm able to have this idea of conflict resolution that my approach should be trying to diffuse the situation and walk away. And then later, the topic of the conversation still hasn't died down. Then, when I'm calmer, the other person is calmer, we settle down and we discuss it. Okay, this happened, that happened. What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again? What's the way forward?
Right. Thank you so much for your insight on that report. And I really love the practical examples. Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the remand of lawyer Ahmed Abdulrahman and 4 others over allegations of cyberbullying Senator Shehu Umar, chairman of the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence. The 5 defendants pleaded not guilty for an 11-count charge bordering on cybercrime, defamation and fraud. The case filed by the Inspector General of Police accuses them of using social media platforms to defame the lawmaker. Prosecutors claimed Abdulrahman posted a video alleging that Senator Umar sponsored banditry, knowing the statement to be false. The police said the video was circulated through his TikTok and YouTube channels. Abdulrahman's lawyer, Afis Matami, sought bail on self-recognition, arguing that his client, as a legal practitioner, would not obstruct investigations, but the prosecution opposed the application, claiming he reoffended while on administrative bail. Justice Ofili Ajumagobia ordered the defendant's detention at the 4th Criminal Investigation Department pending the hearing of their bail application on November 10. The case has reignited debate on the limits of free speech under Nigeria's Cybercrime Act and how online commentary can cross into criminal territory. Yesterday, I think 2 days ago or so, a guy did post about a coup, reports that come from the DSS where a Nigerian man on Twitter did talk about a coup, and they said he was, part of the people trying to plot a coup against the president, and he was picked up in Oyigbo in Port Harcourt. When you think about that and this report, what are your thoughts on the Cybercrime Act?
Well, it seems the time for freedom of speech has always passing slowly, or has already even passed. Genuinely, I feel yes, there's a part of me that wants people to note that actions do have consequences, and if you make false and untrue statements online, there will be consequences. But when it is used to go after people that are in opposition to the government, then it starts to become a problem. Now, if somebody made a comment or a post on someone's post and said, "Oh yeah," there are so many different contexts. It could be just talk, it could just be banter, it could just be people expressing their frustrations. But now we have a case where people are actively being gone after because based on things like this. And it's very interesting because people always bring up this thing about the DSS's ability or security agents' ability to find you when you make a post. Doesn't matter where you are, they will be able to track your location. But being in the most remote part of Nigeria, in the most hidden part of Nigeria, they will still find you. But every single day we have bandits, we have kidnappers. Like the recent case of the lady that was kidnapped. Fortunately, she has regained her freedom. But she was kidnapped and he posted a video. She asked for 20 million naira, or else the kidnappers would kill her. But at no point where these kidnappers, they were already trapped. They found out nothing of that nature happened. They got away with it. Seemingly got away with it. So yeah, we have a case whereby we're tracking down regular citizens, which is all well and good. How does this time now, when you have this technology available, you show Nigerians that you can indeed use this technology, but then it seems those that are criminals seem to be able to get away with anything. Sorry, can you hear me?
Against government are being caught? Is that what you're trying to imply?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, this statement is not we've seen it was made, those statements were made against, and call for a coup was made against the president. What happens when we have bandits posting videos? They have TikTok accounts that are active. They post videos. Some even they go as far as going on live. But our security apparatus, security agents are not able to track these individuals to wherever they are. They're able to track you down to the most remote part of Port Harcourt and bring you out because of one comment on a post. That's my gripe with this whole issue. Fine, you say we're talking about cybercrime act and all of that, all well and good. Why does it seem like it's not being used for the safety of life and security? Rather, it's being used as a tool for the government to go after people that post things that are in disagreement with them, whether factual or not.
What do you propose?
What I propose is quite simple. We have shown that you are able to use it to go after citizens that are posting things that you don't necessarily agree with, all well and good. But there should be no excuse when bandits are posting videos, when kidnappers are posting videos. And you cannot use that same technology that you used to track somebody from Abuja all the way down to pinpoint his location himself contained somewhere in Port Harcourt. And there are no consequences for these criminals, but apparently this person has made a comment on somebody's post. This government can be arrested, can be detained, can be found out. I was going through, scrolling through the internet and found a man that has a private security agency. He stated that when we saw the video, he spoke to, was it the DSS or to one of the security agencies anyways, and told them that, okay, look, I have the resources to find out where these guys are from this video. Let me go ahead and do it. He was denied by the Edo State government and police. Why is that? Why was he denied? He told you guys, he was not asking, okay, pay me to find this guy. He said, give me permission to enter your state and go after these people. I can find out where they are from this video, from the technology available. But it seems that that's only being reserved in case you're someone that is in opposition to the government or to those in power. So if we're going to apply it to the private citizens, why don't we apply it across the board?
Right, but why do you think, why would the government decline? You know that at the end of the day, the core job of the government is to make sure that lives and properties are protected, the lives and properties of the citizenry is well protected. So why would the government decline such a fantastic offer to say, I can find these people through this video posted by these bandits? Why do you think any government would decline such an offer?
Every single time I'm reminded of Sani Abacha's statement when he stated that any act of terrorism or terrorist that goes beyond 24 hours, the government has to handle it. Now, this is not to point finger at any government, state or federal. This is just stating that there is no, like you said, there is no downside. You are not paying for it. You gain all the relevant high around it will be brought by citizen, safe and sound. but yet you still shut down somebody that has the equipment, has the tools, has the workmanship, the manpower rather, to go in and find these people. So there is no upside. There is no down. Yes, there's no upside to the action of shutting it down. So, for the life for me, I can't understand it. And the individual that made the post, he stated that he himself could not understand it because it made no sense.
Such actions, raises more questions than answers. Well, thank you so much, Ace, for your contribution on that particular report. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch. Thank you, Hichoya Ikide, for coming on the show and giving us good insights.
I'm glad I could be of service.
We're open for sponsorship of this program, jingles and advert placement, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product service promotion, and commercials. You can watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We're also on Avo TV channel 205, Limex TV platform, Ifistech platform, Apple TV, Niger TV, and Iroko TV. Connect with us on all our ATN socials. Subscribe, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. You can find us on X on Atlantic TV Net. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Otaria Benjamin. Stay with us. Up next is International Tidbits.